Hello, this is Anviti. Welcome to the news with NDTV. It's Tuesday, August 5th, and coming up in today's episode, political mudslinging turns into personal attacks between Kalyan Banerjee and Mahua Moitra. After Supreme Court reprimand, India Bloc stands strong behind Rahul Gandhi. Anil Ambani faces ED heat, and Russia versus USA intensifies. A day after Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra referred to her party colleague Kalyan Banerjee as a misogynist and a pig during a podcast with India Today, Mr. Banerjee submitted his resignation as the party's chief whip. And this afternoon, Trinamool's official Twitter handle revealed the resignation has been accepted. In a separate development, Party Supremo and Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee decided to put her house in order and held a meeting with her MPs. Let's take a look at the events sequentially. In a virtual meeting, Ms. Banerjee asked her party MPs to not fight among themselves and focus on battling the government on special intensive revision and the NRC, or National Register of Citizens. And coming to the deeply personal attacks which went beyond the realm of politics, Mr. Banerjee today claimed he regrets once supporting Mahua Moitra in the parliament, as she went on a rant against him during an interview. In a podcast with India Today, words like pig, anti-women and homebreaker were being bandied about. Mahua Moitra, when asked about Mr. Banerjee's comments to her marriage to Odisha BJT's ex-MP Pinaki Mishra, responded, "You don't wrestle with a pig because the pig likes it and you get dirty. There are deeply misogynistic, sexually frustrated, depraved men in India, and they have their representation in parliament across all parties," she added. Asked about the party chief's silence over the matter, she had expressed confidence that Ms. Banerjee would do something about it. But Ms. Moitra's jibe had sparked a long note of protest from Kalyan Banerjee. Quote, "Labeling a male colleague as sexually frustrated isn't boldness, it's outright abuse. If such a language were directed at a woman, there would be nationwide outrage, and rightly so. But when a man is the target, it's dismissed or even applauded. Let's be clear, abuse is abuse regardless of gender." Her choice of words, including the use of dehumanizing language such as comparing a fellow MP to a pig, is not only unfortunate but reflects a deep disregard for basic norms of civil discourse. If Ms. Moitra thinks that flinging gutter insults will mask her own failures or distract from serious questions about her record, she's deluding herself, he wrote on social media. The two MPs had gone toe-to-toe after Kalyan Banerjee in June claimed police cannot be present everywhere, and if a friend rapes a friend, what can be done in the aftermath of a horrific rape case from a college campus in Kolkata. Mahua Moitra took strong exception to the comment and called out his misogyny. To this, Mr. Banerjee responded with further misogyny, according to Ms. Moitra, when he attacked the MP's wedding to Odisha former MP Pinaki Mishra, and he had said, quote, "She's saying I am anti-women. What is she? She has broken up a family and married a 65-year-old guy, and she's saying I am anti-women," unquote. ED heat is rising for the deemed fraud industrialist Anil Ambani. Mr. Ambani was questioned at the Enforcement Directorate today in New Delhi after being summoned in connection with the 17,000 crore rupees fraud case. According to sources, Mr. Ambani was not allowed to have a lawyer present with him during the questioning, and the entire questioning session was to be recorded on a camera. The probe agency issued summons to the Reliance Group chairman on August 1st, which came days after the agency searched companies linked to Mr. Ambani and recovered a number of documents and computer peripherals from multiple locations. The questioning today came after the agency issued a lookout circular against him, effectively barring him from leaving the country. The probe agency has also written to multiple banks seeking details on the loans sanctioned to his companies. People familiar with the matter told NDTV Profit. Around 12 to 13 public sector and private sector banks were contacted by the agency seeking details on due diligence followed on loans sanctioned to Reliance Housing Finance, Reliance Communications, and Reliance Commercial Finance. Details have been sought from State Bank of India, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, UCO, and Punjab and Sindh Bank, sources said. The search is conducted under provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, or PMLA, were held in Delhi and Mumbai for the last 3 days. These premises belong to 50 companies and 25 people, including a number of executives of the Anil Ambani group of companies. More than 25 individuals were also questioned. The ED also arrested Partha Sarathi Biswal on August 1st in connection with the case. The raids were held following the registration of 2 FIRs by the Central Bureau of Investigation, or CBI. Sources in the probe agency earlier said investigation primarily pertains to allegations of illegal loan diversion of around 3,000 crore rupees given by the Yes Bank to the group of companies between 2017 and 2019. The investigation flagged several red flags, including loans issued to companies with poor or unverified financial sources, use of common directors and addresses across multiple borrowing entities, lack of essential documentation in sanctioned files, routing of funds to shell entities, and instances of loan evergreening, where fresh loans were given to repay existing ones. After a Supreme Court reprimand on what it means to be Indian and sharp attacks from BJP, India Bloc today stood strong behind leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi. Formed during the Lok Sabha elections last year, the joint opposition India Bloc expressed objection to the Supreme Court's comments on Rahul Gandhi today, called the judge's comments unnecessary, and described them as an extraordinary observation and unwarranted. In a statement issued by the alliance, it is said that, quote, "It is the responsibility of political parties, especially the opposition leader, to speak on issues of national importance." They added, when the government fails to protect the border, it is the moral duty of every citizen to hold the government accountable. This occurred after a bench comprising Justice Datta and Justice Augustine George Massey was hearing a criminal defamation case against the Congress leader for claiming that China had annexed, or that India had actually surrendered 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory to the Chinese counterpart after the clashes at Galwan Valley. The letter reads, today during the morning meeting of the India floor leaders, the remarks of a sitting judge of the Supreme Court on the leader of the opposition, Sri Rahul Gandhi, was discussed. All the leaders of the India parties agreed that the sitting judge has made an extraordinary observation which is unwarranted, and the democratic rights of political parties. It is the responsibility of political leaders to, especially the leader of the opposition, to comment on issues of national interest. When the government fails so spectacularly to defend our borders, it is every citizen's moral duty to hold it accountable. Earlier, the Allahabad High Court had denied relief to Mr. Gandhi in this same matter, but despite its harsh suggestions on being national the correct way, the Supreme Court granted relief to Mr. Gandhi. The complainant back then had said Mr. Gandhi made the alleged remarks on December 16, 2022 during his Bharat Jodo Yatra. The complaint also said the remark was an attempt to demoralize the army. Priyanka Gandhi responded to the Bharatiya Janata Party jibes by saying, Rahul always respects the army. Respect for the army is visible in every speech of his. It is his duty to question the government because he is the leader of the opposition. The government is not ready for the issue on which we want to debate. Why is the government avoiding debate? Why is there panic within the government? Amid US President Donald Trump's increasing pressure to end the war in Ukraine, as he says, Russia has announced it no longer considers itself bound by the 1987 Immediate Range Nuclear Forces, or INF Treaty with America, a moratorium on the deployment of short and medium-range nuclear missiles. This move came days after US President Donald Trump ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions near Russia. Russia's foreign ministry said the conditions for obliging the Soviet-era treaty had disappeared and Moscow is no longer observing its previous self-imposed restrictions. Quote, West's build-up of destabilizing missile potentials create a direct threat to the security of our country, it said in a statement according to RT International. Russia has also accused Donald Trump administration in the United States of pursuing a neo-colonial policy against nations of the global south to maintain Washington's hegemony, and said no amount of tariffs and sanctions could change the natural course of history. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said the US was putting politically motivated economic pressure on nations who are choosing an independent course on the international stage, and expressed Moscow's willingness to boost cooperation with these countries and form a truly multilateral and equal world order. In our home country, the government has hit back at the exorbitant amount of taxes imposed on India by the US under new Trump tariff policy. It reminded Washington about the time when it began importing from Russia after the outbreak of the Ukraine conflict, and at the time when the US actively encouraged such imports. It also countered the stance of the European Union for singling out Indian refiners over the export of crude oil. India's foreign ministry claimed that while imports are a necessity compelled by the global market situation, the nations criticizing it are themselves indulging in trade with Russia, even when such trade is not even a vital compulsion. It then went on to list the trade pacts between these nations. Quote, the European Union in 2024 had a bilateral trade with Euro 67.5 billion in goods with Russia. In addition, it had trade in services estimated at Euro 17.2 billion in 2023. This is significantly more than India's total trade with Russia that year or subsequently. European imports of LNG in 2024, in fact, reached a record of 16.5 million tons, surpassing the last record of 15.21 million tons in 2022. That's all for today. You were listening to the news with NDTV, your daily newspaper and TV bulletin wrapped in a compact podcast. If you want to catch up with the day's events in a hurry, do remember to subscribe to the News with NDTV on Apple, Spotify, and the NDTV News app. This is your host, Anviti, signing off.